All right, everybody. What a blessing it has been these 4 years, and now it is broadcast 1015. There's a lot to say, my friends. Let me begin with an acknowledgement that while I don't want to miss the chance to mark what we have accomplished, we've had a lot of moments like that recently. We had broadcast 1000 very recently. We had our fourth Siyum, the fourth time through the Torah. We're now in our fifth cycle of learning the entire Torah. Jonathan Ornstein, my beautiful friend. For those who don't know Jonathan, he is doing unbelievable work at the JCC in Krakow. You're changing the world, my friend. What an honor that you're here with us today to mark our fourth anniversary of this daily broadcast. Thank you for the work you do. While there have been many moments, and I'm touched to say that in June there's going to be a moment that UJA focuses on what we have accomplished together. Not sure what form that's going to take, but I'm very touched for the recognition. And today is also its own day. What we have done every single day is made sure that we anchor ourselves in the timeless. Torah and our tradition are meant to speak not only to the moment when something is written, but also to the future. We have a huge amount of work that we need to do, and in order to do it, we remember to reflect on our values, on our roots, on our story, on our experiences. How else would we know how to face these very difficult 164 days since October 7th? I have a pin on my shirt that I've worn now for a long time with a young man named Omer Shem Tov. He worked at Camp Ramah Nyack, where I have worked. He's young. I was young. He's neighbors with good friends of mine, including my counselor when I was a camper at Camp Ramah in the Berkshires. And his sweet face is on my mind. So yes, I am aware of everything we've been through. Just to say these things over the past 4 years: pandemic, George Floyd, January 6th, war in Ukraine, October 7th. And those are just 5 things. But right now, his face, Omer's face, sums it all up. And I once, when I was much younger, carried another face. A young man named Yusuf Menashirev was my bar mitzvah twin because he wasn't allowed to leave the Soviet Union. We showed up then for our family. We are showing up now for our family. And even though I want to focus on our moment, our 4-year anniversary, I know that the only reason it's so magnificent is because it is a focusing tool. Torah brings us into our world in a very powerful and important way. It reminds us that we do not stand alone, that our ancestors are watching over us, and that with loyalty to all the work that our ancestors did, we are going to fight to be good ancestors. We will do our best, offer every piece of strength we have, so that the world will be more prepared for our descendants. And sometimes it feels like the world is not moving forward. Sometimes it feels like it moves backward. Well, when it moves backward, we're going to push forward harder. For the past 4 years, we have made enormous efforts. And since October 7th, I've watched us gain in strength and offer it freely to our people all over the world, especially in our beloved Eretz Yisrael. And so I want to teach Torah today, but I want to reflect on what this has meant, and I want to mention one other young man's name. When I got back from my first trip to Israel after October 7th, I was there with a group of rabbis, interdenominational group of rabbis from New York. UJA sent us to bear testimony and to offer love and hugs and support. And we, on our very last night, sat with Rabbi Doron Peretz, who is a beautiful teacher and a leader, and he introduced us to his son Yonatan. Yonatan came from the front lines of Gaza. The ground invasion had not yet begun. Yonatan came back in his uniform, and he said to us, I have a job, you have a job. And it was as simple as that. It was so powerful for him to say such a thing to us. And his story, which I've told many times, is that Yonatan's brother, Daniel Peretz, um, was kidnapped, was stolen on October 7th. And so Yonatan, the brother we met, was not required to go fight. He was exempt from fighting. But he knew that his unit needed him. He's a captain. He needed to go fight. So he did. But that wasn't the only question mark in his mind. Yonatan was scheduled to get married 2 weeks after October 7th. And so I've told this story many times. He said to his bride-to-be and to his parents and to hers, should we postpone for now? This is not the time, perhaps, to get married. And his family looked at him and said, you're getting married. This is what we do. We don't miss our joy. And so Yonatan and his bride walked down the aisle, and under the chuppah was a well-known Israeli musician, Jewish musician, named Yonatan Razel, who has a melody for a song that we sing on Pesach, which is coming up so soon. Melodies, Vehi she'amda lavoteinu, Vehi she'amda lavoteinu elanu, the one who stood for us and for our ancestors. Because it's not only in one time that we have faced those who would hurt us. They walked down the aisle praying for Daniel. And just yesterday it was declared that Daniel had been killed on October 7th. There are too many stars in heaven. There are too many new angels. May they watch over us. And so what I want to make sure we do, friends, as we plan our trips to Israel in solidarity and support, as we plan for Purim, as we plan for Pesach, as we love each other, as we commit to learning Torah and rebuilding our world faster than anyone can break it down, as we pledge to being good ancestors, to please God many descendants, as we commit to this work that UJA has given us this platform to point to over and over and over again, as we do all of this, we do it in memory of our children who we've lost. We do it in solidarity with our children who deserve to know how loved they are, the hugs that we are ready to give our family when they come home. And we will fight for them to come home. Why do I bring all of this in? First of all, because we have to. Torah does not let us off the hook from our responsibility, though it is joyful to learn. It is there to remind us of our purpose in the world, which is not only to take care of our tribe, our family, but we can't not take care of our tribe and say we care about humanity. We can't not labor and cry and scream and lobby for our children. We can't not do that if we say we care about children. Our universalist tendency, our commitment to love the world into health, that is inclusive of our own family. I see pictures that my daughter is sharing from her time right now at Hebrew University. And I think about the stories of my father when he was a young student at Hebrew University. There is such gorgeousness in this world. And we are building a better future, even though we are fighting against evil in order to build it. So here's what I would say, friends. A little bit of Torah from this parsha that weaves all of this together. We're starting a new book of the Torah this week. It's Parshat VAYIKRA. It begins the book of Leviticus. Here's what I want to bring out from it. When we shift from the narratives of Exodus into the priestly regulations and instructions of Leviticus, which, of course, as a book in English or Greek, is named for Leviticus, Leviticon, a book about the tribe of Levi, the priests. Even in Hebrew, we call it Torat Kohanim, the wisdom for priests, or priestly wisdom. A lot of us struggle because the shift from narrative to law, from sort of the whole people to this tribe, especially from a modern perspective, where so much of it is about animal sacrifice, which, we've got stuff to say about. It's hard because we like stories so much. So let me point to the necessity of ritual just for a moment, which is what Vayikra is all about. Because you can have miraculous birth stories for our people, and let me make it modern. Miraculous stories from 1948 and 1967, and other miraculous moments for our people. Splitting of the sea, receiving the Torah. But if you do not instantiate that, if you don't ground it in some regular ritual, what are we doing? How will it last? How will this birth lead to life? Vayikra is all about what you do every single day. The grit and the messiness of life. And how ritual gives us the strength, the capacity, and even the why, reminds us of our stories. Right now I'm editing a Haggadah for my family. And among the things that we do at Seder, and I hope you don't miss it, I know some people rush through Seder, but in the Seder we say, Arami Oved Avi, my ancestor was a wandering Aramean. When do we tell that story? When we're already in the promised land. And so what we need to do, friends, what we need to do is constantly, every day, get back to our purpose. And ritual brings us right into that. When people, Sylvia, I see what you're posting, when people vandalize signs with our children and grandparents' faces on them, ritual, we put them back up. Yes, we're upset. Yes, we have to be mindful and vigilant, facing and fighting anti-Semitism. And I encourage you, friends, to tap into the work that UJ Federation is doing and that others are doing. But it is the ritual that gets us through. These climactic, miraculous moments, they're gorgeous. Thank God for them. We will tell stories about them. We will have seders about them. But ritual grounds us in the everyday. And again, just as we're getting close to the close of today's broadcast, this is our 4-year anniversary. Yes, there have been deep moments of upheaval. Yes, there have been peak moments of joy. But we show up every day no matter what. We show up on the days where there isn't anything exciting happen, which during these last 4 years, that's none of these days. But what's the reward? I said this at our 1,000th broadcast. What's the reward for 1,000 broadcasts, 1,015 today? The 1,016th broadcast. The reward is knowing that we will see each other. The reward is knowing that we will find each other, that there is something stable in a shaky world. Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, yes, it's about an archaic way of seeing the world where priests brought animals that we brought to sacrifice, and we didn't have the direct relationship with God that we do today. But Leviticus tells us that no matter what the day is, there is something you are called to do. So, every day for 4 years, every day, we have learned together. That's not something that ends right now. If we have learned anything these last 4 years, anything, it is the necessity of showing up. It is the power of being a regular, expectable part of a community. We need you. We need you. Each one of you. I've explained to people a few times over the years, what this community is. And someone said, oh, how many viewers are there? And the answer is none. We're a community. No one's viewing anything. We all show up. And the way, friends, that you have so beautifully, and I hope freely, shared your hearts with our community through comments and also when we've been blessed to see each other in physical space. We are something real, and we have built something every single day together. I bless you that you should know that. I bless you should know, Barbara, that every time you say Hineni, all of our hearts feel it. That when we show up with love, devotion, commitment, regularity, and also curiosity, so that the Torah and our world might even surprise us with better stuff than we expect. You are the reason this is working. Rose, Hineni means I am here. It means I'm available. God calls Hineni. We call Hineni. Just to remind ourselves that we're not alone, and we do better than that. We have been a community for 4 years. I'm so blessed. We are so blessed. So, let's take a breath. Send our hearts all the way to Israel, to anyone in need all over the world. Let's say Hineni again. Let's make this a year where more and more people are present once again, so that they can say Hineni alongside. Kolon baleva penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim liot am chofshi be'artzeinu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim liot am chofshi be'artzeinu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. Mazel tov, friends, on 4 years. Here's to the next 4. See you tomorrow.